Do you have gestational diabetes? Does your loved one have it and you want to be better educated to support them? I will be going over some background of GDM, why it happens, why it's not the fault of the mother, some tips on keeping sugars under control with diet, and give you some behind the scenes of my journey with gestational diabetes. Let's get to it. I'm Dr. Mona, a board-certified pediatrician and mom, and on this channel you will find information to make the best choices for your family. I also share vlogs like this one sharing behind the scenes on mom life and pregnancy life. To stay up to date on all of my content here on PedsDocTalk TV, make sure to subscribe and to also sign up for our newsletter for education about baby and toddler health, development, and parenting. I was diagnosed after I didn't pass my 3-hour glucose tolerance test. I had to do the 3-hour one because I didn't pass the 1-hour one. My glucoses after the second hour was 168 when they want it under 155, and after 3 hours was 153 when they want it under 140. So borderline, but still there. I made an appointment with my MFM a few days later to meet with a dietitian there and get an ultrasound. Thankfully, all was good. The days between the diagnosis and the appointment were very stressful. I went down a spiral of wanting to make sure baby was okay and what this all meant, but stay tuned because I'll discuss all of that. First, GDM is not the fault of the mother. It happens in some pregnancies. It didn't happen with Ryan and it did with this pregnancy. So give yourself some grace. If your clinician or anyone makes you feel it's your fault, do me a favor and show them this video. It's not your fault. Gestational diabetes happens because of hormones released by the placenta. It occurs in about 5 to 7% of pregnancies. The placenta makes hormones, and some of these hormones can impact the job of insulin. During pregnancy, the placenta and its hormones can interfere with the job of insulin, making extra sugar build up in the blood. So diet modification is important because our bodies are not capable of handling excess sugars we need to moderate it. Most women respond well to diet modification. However, some may need insulin or other meds like metformin. It's so important to follow guidance from your clinician and dietitian. Putting on my pediatrician hat, I want to remind you that if blood sugars are well managed, whether it's with diet or meds, we see amazing outcomes. If left untreated, babies can be large for their gestational age or have macrosomia, may have respiratory distress at birth, and or may have hypoglycemia. They can have low sugar after birth because they get used to being in a high glucose environment, producing more insulin, and when they are delivered, that high sugar state is not there, so their sugars drop. So they are monitored with sugar checks postpartum. The mother may have preterm labor or stillbirth, but from the pediatrician side, I see these outcomes rarely, as it is a low risk to no risk in well-controlled diabetic mothers. Even though you may know it's not your fault, getting the diagnosis can be hard. I cried the night I found out. I was upset because I felt I was having to manage even more on top of being pregnant. I also felt sad that I'd have to say bye to my favorite treats like Orange Julius shakes, Girl Scout cookies, and Tahine apple rings. Stay tuned for more about diet modification in GDM. I also went down a spiral wanting to make sure baby was okay. Will she be too big? Will I have preterm labor? And had to really ground myself in what I know. That control of the sugars is important, and she and I would be fine. And then we deal with the commentary. Many people don't understand GDM and think it's your fault, so there can be shame. You shouldn't have ate that or done that. But listen, we see women eat more carbs than you do and don't have this condition. It's all about placenta hormones. So if you need to place blame, blame your placental hormones, which you have no control over. It's also a lot of work to figure out initially because the goal is figuring out what foods work best for your body. Every person is different, so what spikes your sugars may not spike others. So the first 3 to 4 weeks, you will learn what your body can handle. That being said, as your pregnancy progresses, the hormones and growth of placenta can mean changing numbers. So you may have been able to eat something that you can't later, or what I've noticed for myself is lower numbers as my pregnancy progressed with the ability to increase carbs. So it's a balancing act that is so unique, but you will do it. My biggest advice is do not stress, but make the changes. Cry and grieve what you need to initially. I went through the stages of grief within 24 hours. Denial, this can't be true. Anger at everyone and myself. Bargaining, maybe if I hadn't eaten that or done that. Depression, more so a funk for me. And then acceptance. Feel your feelings, but I need you to get to the acceptance phase to be able to make the diet modifications and be hopeful about your journey. Your support system will likely be your clinician, likely a high-risk doctor or MFM, their dietitian, your partner if you have one, and your employer if you're working. It's important to make sure you communicate issues with your clinician and dietitian and feel supported and not shamed by them. Your partner should also understand the diagnosis. So if they don't, have them watch this video. They need to be supportive, especially for family meals. My husband and I sat down and went through some meals to rotate for dinner that would work. We kept it simple to avoid meal planning fatigue, and I'll share my sample meals and snacks later. I have an incredible MFM and dietitian, but I want to highlight 5 social media accounts who have really helped me on my journey. Give these all or some a follow. They all are trained in the area to give education about nutrition, and I have learned so many tips from these accounts that I will be sharing. Depending on when you're watching this, they may or may not still have active accounts, but I hope they're around forever because they're incredible. One thing I've realized is many women have gotten really not so great advice about sugar control in GDM. So I'm sharing some top tips of what can impact your sugars and some tips for getting fasting numbers down and how to meal plan. Remember, you should be following the guidance of your dietitian as well as your MFM. Here are some things that can impact your sugar levels. Meal composition, having too much carb and not enough protein. Activity levels, not working out or walking, especially after carb-heavy meals or snacks. Stress. I ate the same thing, and take a look at what a stressful morning in the office did to my sugars. Spiked it without any change in diet. Illness or lack of sleep can also impact sugars as it can impact cortisol, and cortisol can spike our sugars just like stress release can cause a cortisol spike as well. And the stage of pregnancy. Like I mentioned, you can see changing numbers as you go later in pregnancy and the baby grows and the placenta changes. So don't be alarmed if things you could tolerate are now causing spikes. That's why you need to send your glucose logs to your care team. So my first tip is to get guidance from your face-to-face dietitian on what to eat. My dietitian gave me a goal as follows. This was a starting point based on my numbers, and through the journey, I've had to find out what works for me. Between 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., I get 30 grams of carbs, no milk or fruit. Snack, 9:30 to 10:30, 15 grams of carbs. Lunch, 12:30 to 1:30, 45 grams of carbs allowed. Snack, 3 to 4 p.m., 30 grams of carbs. Dinner, 6 to 7 p.m., 45 grams of carbs. Bedtime snack, 9:30 to 10, 15 to 30 grams of carbs. What helped me is keeping things simple by rotating the same breakfast meals and snacks. This took off the load and helped me enjoy this process more. For special occasions, like if we went out to dinner or if someone was visiting, I would portion control or use strategies that I will discuss. Here's a slide about my simple schedule and another slide with the recommendations of snacks and meals from our PedsDocTalk community. It's super simple. The goal is to stay 80% or more in your desired readings. If your clinician is seeing repetitive numbers be high, like your fasting glucose levels in the morning, they may ask you to tweak things in your diet. Now, here are some things to consider when meal planning. You're going to find out what triggers you and your sugar. So remember, it's all about figuring out your body, which is not like my body or anybody else's. Start with savory meals for breakfast. So no waffles, no sugary cereals. This will reduce sugar spikes throughout the day as well. This means protein, fat, or fiber, or even veggies. If you do fruit, fresh fruit, but I have avoided fruit for breakfast, but you may be able to enjoy it. Options for breakfast include eggs, cheese, cottage cheese, chia seeds, peanut butter on wheat toast, high protein milk, Greek yogurt. You may be able to do small portions, especially paired with protein, but start without it to see sugar stay stable and see if adding it in still keeps sugars okay. Protein helps slow that glucose release of meals, leading to less sugar spikes. It's also more filling and it's great for baby's growth. When eating a meal with carbs and protein, let's say for example, pasta, which is carbs, and veggies and chicken. Eat the chicken or veggies first, and then end with the carbs. You will likely see less of a rise in glucose than if you eat the pasta first, and then the veggies, and then the protein. This method helps reduce glucose spikes as your body metabolizes the food. My 2 healthy fats include avocado and peanut butter. Adding peanut butter to toast or avocado to toast are great options, and healthy fats are important in your diet too. This tip is huge and actually helped me keep sugars in check after having half an Oreo shake. This is especially important for after dinner, as it can help keep post-dinner sugars down and the fasting glucose numbers in the morning down too. Artificial sweeteners can reduce glucose spikes more than regular sugar. However, they can also alter gut flora, so it's okay to have, but consider moderation too. Of note, regular sugar causes more of an alteration, so artificial sweeteners are more preferred, but still balance it. The best types of artificial sweeteners, and I learned this from Glucose Goddess, are monk fruit, stevia, allulose, erythritol versus things like aspartame, mannitol, sucralose, or xylitol. When looking at labels, look at the carbohydrates, the serving size, and also protein as a basis. Let's use an example of my favorite snacks. Skinny Pop, my favorite bedtime snack, Magic Spoon cereal, and something I ate a lot before getting diagnosed with GDM, which are tahini gummy rings. Looking at Skinny Pop, the serving size is 3 4 cup, which is a lot. That's 15 grams of carbs with 2 grams of protein per serving. This is a popular afternoon snack for me because I don't even hit the recommended 30 grams of carbs for that afternoon snack, and I can have more leeway here. Looking at Magic Spoon cereal, fruity flavor, my favorite, it's so delicious. 1 cup of cereal is 15 grams of carbs and 13 grams of protein, which really does blunt the effect of carbs. I pair this with Fairlife milk, which has 6 grams of carbs and 13 grams of protein per cup. So a bowl of cereal is 16 grams of protein and 21 grams of carbs. Really a delicious higher protein snack. Looking at tahini rings, 4 pieces were 24 grams of sugar. Before being diagnosed, I was eating like 8 to 10 at a time. Yes, that's an issue. I still have been able to eat these, but I just have 2 for an afternoon snack very occasionally, and I eat cheese or beef jerky before to get some protein in. This allows me to still have my guilty pleasure, but portion control. By looking at labels, you can see what is too much carb for your snack or meal and see portion sizes. Do not forget to look at the serving size, because it could be like 1 piece being 25 grams of carbs, which you have to think, is that even worth it? Is it gonna fill you up? Pair high protein with carbs for snacks too. Protein with carbs is a good way to balance effective carbs. Yasso bars and Magic Spoon cereal were huge for me. Or I would eat beef jerky with some orange because I love citrus fruits. Don't forget to have your bedtime snack. This can help your morning numbers to balance and space out carbs so your body doesn't go into a fasting state overnight, and also reducing carbs and pairing protein at this time can help as well. If you're dealing with high fasting glucose in the morning, consider the following. Too much carbohydrate in your evening meal or as a snack before bed can contribute to high fasting levels, as your body can only produce or use so much insulin. Therefore, if you raise your blood sugars too high by eating too much carbohydrate, your body can spend the night battling to try to lower your blood sugar levels. Poor sleep quality can also impact levels too. So if you're consistently getting poor sleep, which I know is so hard in pregnancy, speak to your clinician about what to do. For those fasting numbers, speak to your dietitian and also consider the following. Exercise after dinner, or at least a 10 to 15 minute power walk or weights. Add some protein to your dinner. Add more protein to your bedtime snack, or switch to solely a protein-filled bedtime snack. Now I'm going to show you how to check your finger stick. I have the Freestyle Libre 2 monitor, which I like. However, it is pricey, even though insurance covered some of it. The sensors out of pocket cost me $35 each, and they each last 2 weeks, but they sure do beat finger pokes. You have to ask your clinician if it's possible, and your insurance may or may not cover it. But make sure to also have finger sticks to double check weirdly high or low numbers. I noticed that initially for the 48 hours after putting on the sensor, my numbers are off by like 8 points compared to my finger sticks, either 8 points higher or lower. So if I take a sensor reading and I add 8 and that puts me higher than my recommended numbers, I check a finger stick. Sometimes the numbers are exactly the same. For the sample sugar check, I'm going to do a fasting finger stick with an example of checking the sensor, and then my after breakfast check too. Good morning. I am going to show you how I check my fasting glucose with a finger stick. I have this glucometer, and so I'm going to turn it on. And any glucometer you get, you just want to make sure you turn on. I have it in PM, so it's incorrect. It's 7 a.m. And so I already washed my hands, and so let me show you. insert this, I twist it, put this back on, and all glucometers should be somewhat similar, but then you dial it to the size you need. So I'm just going to use a 1. And this is the testing stick. I'm just going to get a paper towel ready. And again, I just washed my hands, so I'm all good to go. You don't need to use alcohol wipes if you don't, but I just washed my hands. And then this is the glucometer that I put like this, like so. And it's going to show me that it's ready. And then I'm just going to prick my finger, so you're going to see some blood. So make sure if you're squeamish, you're going to see some blood. So you're going to do this. And see the blood. And then you just put it on the tip. And then it's going. So it says 67. So 67. I'm also going to check my sensor so you can see how it relates and why it's always important to check both, just to make sure that everything is similar. But I'm going to check this one as well. So my sensor is reading 74. And then this one was 67. So this was my fasting glucose, and I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to have some peanut butter toast and some sugar-free Chobani Greek yogurt with probiotics. I keep it very simple with my meals. And then I'm going to check an hour, and I'm also going to be getting my son ready. So you won't be seeing all that, but so I'll be kind of active after breakfast, dropping him off, and I'll come back and check that and see where we're at for that, and I'll check a finger stick for that one. So I had my breakfast, I had 2 pieces of peanut butter toast on wheat bread, and then I had yogurt, which was Greek yogurt, Chobani, 0 sugar yogurt. And so now I'm gonna do my 1 hour post breakfast check. So using this again to show you, so putting this inside right here. There you go. And then the little signal, the blood. This is the one that I use. And then putting this here. I already washed my hands, so dialing it up. I use this finger in the morning, so I'm going to use this one today, or for the afternoon. There's blood, and then here we go. And then it's gonna go down. 3, 2, 98. So my goal is under 140. It's interesting because I'm 35 weeks and my sugars have actually been better eating the same stuff, so I'm able to have a little more carb, which the dietitian said can happen for some women, so that's a bonus. But 98, so that's how I check the finger stick, and make sure obviously you follow the directions on your glucometer. I also have this, and it's actually off by like 8 points. I already checked, but everything is good, so I'll be logging this for my doctor and my dietitian for the week. There you have it. I hope this video was helpful. I do want to say that I was initially really upset when I got the diagnosis, but the diagnosis has meant me having better nutrition during my pregnancy and more energy late into pregnancy than I did with my son or my first pregnancy. The increase in protein, veggies, and healthy fats in my diet have been great, and I've still been able to enjoy carbs. I'm curious where in the journey you are, or if you're here to support a loved one. Comment below, and also comment on anything you've learned through this video or through your own GDM community, so we can help anyone on this channel who's going through something similar. Make sure to subscribe here to PedsDocTalk TV to stay up to date on all of my content, and I'll see you all next time.